Hey guys, I'm Ken from OK Portugal, and today we're going on a full walking tour of a large village property for sale right here in Central Portugal. We're in the Castelo Branco district in the historic village of Soalheira. It's a rural village best known for its award-winning cheeses made from sheep, goat and cow's milk. In fact, Soalheira cheese won first place at the World Cheese Awards this year, which is pretty impressive. Now the village itself is friendly, it's well served. You're going to find many markets, restaurants, cafes, bars, a hardware store, a builder's yard and even a petrol station with a car wash and an ATM. The surrounding area is full of things to see and do. There's historic sites, river beaches, public swimming pools, gardenia mountains and even a huge nearby lake. For bigger shops and services, the city of Fundão is about 15 minutes away, the city of Castelo Branco is about 20 minutes away, and the city of Courtyard is about 30 minutes away, giving you access to the Serra da Estrela Mountains and its nature park. Getting here is pretty easy too. The A23 motorway is just a couple of minutes away, meaning you can reach the city of Porto and its international airport in under 3 hours, or the capital city of Lisbon and its airport in just over 2 hours. As for the house itself, I've been told by the owners it was one of the very first built in Soalheira. It's been in the family for generations. They once grew crops and kept livestock here, selling their produce in a little shop at the front of the building. The property is built from granite stone. It's set on 1 hectare of land with numerous fruit trees, wells for irrigation and has various outbuildings. Now, if you're interested in buying this property, you'll find the seller's contact details in the video description below. We're in a beautiful rural area. Thanks, Rocky. And yeah, as you can tell in the background here, a really awesome little village. Right next door to the house is this beautiful little chapel. It's called Capella de São Sebastião. And now we can actually see the house itself, or part of the house itself, just extending on this side here. On the map we can see exactly how large the property is. We can see exactly where the borders and boundaries are. We can see where we're standing on the south side at the main entrance, and we can also see where there's another entrance to the property on the north side. From the street side here we can see some garage doors that open up, take you into some parking place. There's a place where you can walk through and you can go up the stairs and into the front of the building, into the front door of the building. And just down here on the front is a little shop. You access the shop through these 3 red doors over here. This is a real old traditional shop where they sold produce, and it's a 70 square meter space that we'll be looking at in a bit. From here we can see there's a little balcony going upstairs, and then we can see the rest of the rooms that make up the main house. Now these buildings on the side aren't included, but there is another entrance to the property just back there. Now the front of the building is covered in render, but there's actually granite stones beneath that. And I've been told the reasoning for that was back in the days, they used to think that granite stones was for poor people's houses, and so they would cover them with plaster. Obviously these days we want to have those granite stones showing. And just across the road from the property we can see a perfect example of an old building here with all of its granite stones. It's all pointed up, it's all fixed up, and it looks absolutely stunning. So hopefully that's going to give you some idea of what can be done when you restore and renovate this building. So let's start the tour at the front entrance. This is where you would go through and park your car. These are the front gates. And when we open these up, this takes us into a big area where you can park cars. And there's also like a bit of a storeroom at the back there. We're going to be going through all of this area in a second, but I think to start with, we're going to go up these granite stairs and we're going to have a look at the main building. Now again, this is in need of complete renovation, but there's a lot of potential here. When you go up the stairs, you'll find that there's a nice balcony area up here. And this gives you some really nice views over the village. If we carry on walking up these stairs, this takes us to the front doors. And look at these front doors. I mean, these are some real old historic front doors of one of the first houses built in this entire village. And if we look through here, we can see it's even got old original wooden floors. And they're actually in pretty good condition. And from here we can see into the house. Now I'm going to start on the left hand side here. We're going to work our way through in a logical way. This looks to be some kind of a sitting room. We can see we've got some internal windows and doors. Quite a nice shape and size and space. This is like almost like a conservatory area where we've got some glass letting lots of light through. I think what we're going to do is start on this side here, a really big room that has a door that leads out onto that little balcony area that we just saw outside, and we've got 3 large windows, and these windows give us some views out onto that balcony space and down the road into the village. And if we carry on down this way, we can see some views going into the area that has the chapel in the background. The owner was telling me that in its current configuration there are 7 bedrooms, but Obviously that can be moved around and you could possibly get a lot more in here. And as we go back into this conservatory area, I just want to bring your attention to these lovely hand-painted tiles on the floor. And I'm going to give you a little peek of outside. Now we're going to be going to the outside area a little bit later, and there's lots of space here, lots of trees and things like that. But for now I have a lot to show you indoors. Now the kitchen is just through here. You can see it's got some really nice blue tiles. Portugal's got some amazing tiles. They've also got some really not so great tiles, but these ones are actually, I like them. Got a space here for what looks like a washing machine, and then we have this extractor hood or chimney here, where I'm guessing there was an old coal or wood fired oven. We've got space for a sink, and if we go through here we have an old fireplace. This is probably like a little sitting room, and if we look through here we got a door and a window that takes you outside and through to the gardens. And if we carry on walking through, we've got a little pantry just to the side here. It's quite a cute storage space. And if we carry on through, we've got another, what I believe would be a kitchen area. So this has a big fireplace in it. And if we look just above the fireplace, we can see this old wire hoops where they'd probably have some kind of a wooden pole. And on those they would hang chorizos and things like that. Then they'd make a big fire on the floor here, create a lot of smoke, and they would smoke those chorizos. So I think that's what this was used for, and it looks like they had another wood burning stove on the corner here just to make lots of smoke in this room. And here's from the other side of the room, looking back to where we were standing. We've got some windows that lead out into the gardens here, and a door that leads out into the gardens. Now this house is huge, there's lots of space. We've only seen a little bit of it, and then the land is massive, so it's going to be quite an adventure. Follow me. Going back out through the kitchen into this big bright sort of hallway conservatory area. We're now going to turn in this direction, and this takes us to the bathroom. And again, we've got some quite interesting tiles. We've got the bidet, toilet, basin, a big bathtub. Let's just have a look at these on the wall. So again, old Portuguese tiles. And if I turn around here, look at these ones on the floor. So I'm not sure, maybe some of these could be reincorporated into the design of whoever buys this and renovates it. And if we go through the bathroom, we get to this little room over here. I'm not sure if this was a little sitting room, or maybe it was a little bedroom with its own doorway access directly into the bathroom. And if we continue through here, this takes us back to where we started in this hallway. So this is the front door that we came through, and then we turned left and did this whole side of the building. And let's continue on this side. So we have a doorway over here taking us to another bedroom, and we can see this bedroom has a doorway. This doorway goes onto the little balcony that's just above the three red front doors, that are part of the shop downstairs. And this room has two windows with nice views. And as we come out of this bedroom, we can see a staircase. This takes us downstairs to the shop. This takes us upstairs to another level and more bedrooms, and also an attic. And this over here takes us to another room. This bedroom only has one window and is a little bit smaller than the rest of them. Now let's go up these stairs and have a look at the next floor. It's quite an adventure going through here. It's like an unusual building. It's obviously very big and very old. But here, from the stairway here, we can see like into the landing area. I think what we're going to do is, let's start on the left here with this room. So, another bedroom. We've got a big chest. I believe these are old salt lockers. These are like chests that they would put salt, well, either ice or salt, and they would be able to keep and preserve food in. So I think that's what this is. It's like in the days before fridges. It looks like it's in very good condition though. And from here we can see out into the gardens. Look at the size of those olive trees. Huge gardens, and we're going to see those in a bit. And then as we walk through here, I'm going to keep on the left. We've got some more windows opening out onto the side. Another room over here. So plenty of space. This room has a window that again takes us into views of the garden just down here, and it also has views on this side looking out to the side of the building. So yeah, a lot of rooms, a lot of space. And if we go down the hallway over here, we can see, similar to the downstairs configuration, we have another bedroom on this side, although instead of having a door and a balcony here, this one just has a window, and a third window on that side. And there's a big room, and then if we go through here, we can see very similar to the one downstairs where we have one window and a smaller room. And if we follow these stairs, going upstairs, we have an attic space. And it's kind of dark up here, so hopefully you're going to be able to see what's going on. But it's basically an attic. It's not the biggest attic, but perhaps the roof could be made bigger so that there's more floor space and more storage. And wait, the building doesn't end there. There is still more, so follow me. We just got to go down these stairs and all the way to the bottom floor, which is just down here. And as I said in the intro of the video, the owners of the property used to grow their own produce, grow their own animals, and this is where they would sell them. In a 70 square meter shop, we can actually see the remnants of the old original countertop. And if we stand over here, we can see the big red doors that obviously can all open up, and they take you down into the street outside. And this was a commercial space, so you know, you could definitely open up some kind of a shop down here, or possibly even a little bar or a restaurant or something like that, a little cafe. Look at this, 70 square meters. It's got really nice old hardwood beams, and then these beautiful old granite pillars. Look at these, and these are all sort of local granite from the area here. And as I was mentioning to you earlier, this entire building is actually made of granite stone, so it's all been plastered over, but it all could be taken back, and you can expose all of these beautiful big granite stones and obviously point them and grout them in properly. So this is from the corner of this 70 square meter space. And let me actually just go here quickly, just so I can show you back down the road again. This is where we started the video, and we can see down the road into some of the old buildings. And just look at this one, magnificent what they've done with it. Right, so let's carry on tour here to the side of the shop. This takes us back to like the courtyard area, the area where we park cars and things like that. These are the old garage doors that open up to the street. This is the old iron door that we came through earlier, and then we went up these stairs over here to the front door. Here's a view from the other side, and this looks over this whole area. This old car is not for sale. It's an old Datsun, so it's not for sale with the property. This over here is a big place where they used to make olive oil. This is what I've been told. You can see it's got a big tank in the corner there. It's got a huge vat over here where they would store the oil. We've got some sort of drainage ports in the ground here. It kind of looks similar to a place where you would make wine, but I've been told that this one was for olive oil. They didn't make wine here. Now the reason I'm not going in is because there is a room above this that the floor is actually broken, and it's not really safe for me to walk in there now, just in case one of these things comes down. And we'll be able to see that other room upstairs in a moment. So if we go in this direction over here, we have another sort of storage room, which is all downstairs. This is almost like all the basement-y areas of this property. And we can see, well, we can't see, it's quite dark in here, but this is basically just like a storage area, a storeroom area with a big floor space area. And then if we come back out of here, this is a view back from where we've been, and a view that takes you up and into the gardens. Let's go up and through here. And what a beautiful day it is to be doing this. Look at this blue sky, everything's looking absolutely stunning. Blue skies against this green citrus, how amazing is that? And this is the conservatory area that we were looking at earlier on when we were walking through the building. So this is the entrance to that, with the kitchen just on this side over here, and all the rooms of the house back in that direction. And if you go up these steps over here, this takes you to the room that was just above the area where they make olive oil. So we can see what's happened is the roof is broken on this piece of the building, so all of the water's come down, and obviously that has then rotted the floor, and we've got quite a lot of weight here, so potentially some tiles could fall through, which is why I didn't go down there earlier. And this is the outside of that conservatory area that we looked at earlier. And this is the outside of that kitchen area with the door that goes through into that little room that had the fireplace. And if we look down in this direction, I'll tell you a little story about this tree. I was told that the original owners had a daughter. They only had one daughter, and unfortunately she was disabled. And she absolutely loved citrus fruit. And so the parents planted this beautiful citrus tree here, right next to the house, so that the daughter could come down here and access all of these fruits really easily. And just to the side of the citrus tree we can see one of the wells. There's actually 3 wells on the property. This one, as we can see, it's quite a rudimentary cover on here. But let's lift this up and have a look inside. You can see it's quite a deep well. There is water down there, water all year round. An old granite well. And if we walk a little bit further on from the well into the garden, just have a look at these trees. These are olive trees, if you can believe it. They are absolutely enormous. I don't think I've ever seen, on any of the properties I've ever filmed, I don't think I've ever seen olive trees this tall before. They are almost like giant cork oak trees. It's absolutely incredible. From here we can actually see the back of the little chapel. So the chapel that I showed you in the beginning, this is the back of it. And the limit of the land is this bit here that goes back up to the house. So this little section where the chapel isn't included. But obviously all of this is included. And this is a view back at the house and of the back of the citrus tree. And let me just spin you around again. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. A look into the gardens and all of the outbuildings that we're going to go through. So I'm going to head past these absolutely ginormous olive trees. There's a lot of olive trees in the property, so remember they used to make olive oil here. And here we have an area where they've planted most of the citrus trees. So earlier on when I came down here I counted 12, and I think there's a variety of different clementines, citruses, lemons, limes and things like that. And you can see they make some lovely shade. And from here we can see the limits of the land again. So just over here, this is the fence line, and this fence line takes us round and up to that corner over there. And I'll show you on a map exactly where we are right now. And let's get back into the shade of these citruses, and we can start to see some of the old outbuildings here. Now this one over here is like a sort of chicken coop, and it's made out of concrete. Obviously it hasn't been used for a very long time, so we can see a little space for the chickens to go in here, and around the side spaces to lay eggs, and obviously nice and secure so they don't get attacked, well, they don't get attacked by foxes and things like that. And we can also see some more buildings that we'll see in a bit just back in that direction. And just next to the chicken coop we have this tree over here. This is called a diospiro, or Sharon fruit. It's a really nice fruit. It's actually worth quite a lot of money. These ones are still growing here, but you can see they're looking quite healthy. Now, as you can imagine, this was like a farm back in the days. Even though it's in the center of a village and it's got a huge amount of land, it was run as a farm, and they did have livestock here. And if you look through the trees here, we can actually see the next door neighbor has got a whole bunch of sheep just over there. So it's got a really nice rural farmy vibe, even though you're in the middle of a village. Now the land extends up and over along this way. Just in front of the citrus orchard we've got this door covering the ground here. What's actually below here is well number 2. So there's 2 wells so far. There is a third one. I'm not going to lift this up because obviously it's quite nicely sealed and I don't want stones and things falling in. Just to the side of it we have a water tank. And this over here, this big concrete pillar, let me just explain how this works. Back in the days before pumps and things, they would have a long pole, and the pole would come out, then there'd be a string and there'd be a bucket. That bucket would go into the well, and then you could hold the back of the pole and you could lift the bucket up and down, and then you could make that bucket empty into this tank. So imagine filling up this big tank over here. That's probably, I don't know, 2,000 liters or something. Imagine doing that by hand with a bucket from a well. We're very fortunate to have electricity these days. And just in front of that well area, the land steps up, and we can see we've got all of these olive trees here. This is all part of the property. We can see the backs of some of the village houses here. So this whole big piece of land is actually part of the property here, and it's huge. Look at this. Loads of olive trees, lots of grasses, nice big open space. Now normally a space like this would be classified as rural because it would be for agriculture, things like olives and sheep and stuff, but the owners have actually got this changed and they've turned the classification into urban. And why that's important is because you are able to build houses on urban land. You can get planning permission to build houses, and perhaps the person that buys this could develop a whole bunch of apartments or houses or build a hotel or do something. But this is not a useless piece of land that you can only do agriculture on. This is actually something that can be built on. Now, of course, you don't actually have to build on here. You could just leave it wild. You could actually do what the owners had before, and you could have, animals up here, and you could farm up here. So a property like this does actually give you a lot of different options. There's also the option where this entire section over here could be split from the other part of the property, where you could maybe fix up the house and use that for yourself, and then you could split this area off and you could sell that as a completely separate property for something else. And the reason why this might be a good idea is because there's another house just to the side over here that could be renovated, and we'll get there in a sec. As you can see, it's made out of granite stones. We've got 2 doors on this side over here, and then it extends all the way along in this direction, and we've got some really nice big olive trees. Oh, we have an angry little doggy protecting this, so excuse his barking. All right, let me get around the corner and hopefully the doggies will get bored of barking at me. But from this side we can see it's a beautiful old building. Look at that. Huge windows, lovely granite stones. Imagine this all pointed up. The roof has actually collapsed in on this side over here, but it's still a nice building. And as I said earlier, this could be fixed up and this could be turned into a whole complete separate building if you wanted. We've got a big old water tank over here. I don't think this is a water tank. I actually think this is probably what they used to make wine in, and this was probably the wine building. And look at these stones. Really, really nice. And it goes up and back into this direction over here. And if we look out through the front of this building, down into these doors over here, these are the doors. This is the second entrance that I told you about on the property. So through these doors you can obviously drive cars in here, and you can access the rest of the land. You can access this building over here. If you were going to do some kind of tourist activity here, if you were going to do like a hotel or a guest house or something like that, then perhaps people could take their cars in from the street. They could bring them up here and they could park up here safely. And then just to the left of where those gates are, this is another well, and it's absolutely massive. Now obviously, being in a village, this house is going to have access to water, sewage, it's going to have access to telephone, fiber optic broadband. In fact, you can get up to 10 gigabit fiber optic broadband at a property like this, which is absolutely incredible, especially when you work with media like me. But what's also nice to have is well water, especially when you have a hectare of land. That basically allows you to irrigate without having to pay for a water bill. And if we look down here, we can see the water is quite far down. This is an absolutely massive well. Sure. And if we look down this side, there's steps. They're all overgrown at the moment, but they take you down into this little room over here, which I believe would have been the old pump room. And we can see some of the pipe work. And you would attach the pipework to the pumps, and then this would be brought back to some of the animal buildings, or possibly even the house, which is back in this direction. And before I forget, back on this building that we just looked at, this is more of like the sort of barn side of the building, but on this side over here is what looks like the house side of it. I didn't want to go there earlier because the dogs were barking. Hopefully I don't wake up those dogs. Let's just have a quick look at this. So also granite stones, and it's going to be quite overgrown in there. I haven't actually looked in here yet, so let's pop our noses in and have a look. It's a double story, lots of granite stones, nice big space. Obviously the owners are going to be able to give you the exact dimensions and the floor plans and everything of this whole building, of all of the buildings, so have a look in the video description below if you want any more info. Alright, I woke up the dog, so let's quickly vacate, get back on track and see the rest. And let's walk back in this direction now. We're going to get to the sort of last part of the garden through these beautiful old olive trees. And I mean, look at all these olive trees here. You've got a whole stack of trees here, so you're going to be able to get tons and tons of oil. And you've also got space here where you can actually press the oil and you can do all of your own stuff. Now, I wouldn't recommend pressing your own oil because it's just a lot easier to take it down to the actual oil press, and they've got the proper machines there and you can get it done. But you know, a place like this does actually give you the freedom to do things like that. So from here we can see the back of a building made out of stone and concrete. I believe it's an animal building. And let's just go through here. This is the back of the chicken house. So the chickens were obviously in this front section over here that we looked at earlier, and then this back section over here would have been for some other types of animals, for them to live inside there. I'm not sure exactly what type of animals. And if we spin you around, we can see the house from where we came, the first well just down there. And if we look back in this direction, this is what I believe is a pigsty. Really nice big square granite blocks for a pigsty. This will be the trough where all of the food was. They like pork in Portugal because they make lots of sausages and things from that. So we would have had some pigs in here, and I believe they would have had the same thing just next door behind all of this growth here. A farm like this would have had sheep, it would have had goats, it would have had chickens, it would have had pigs, and it also has, or would have had, cows. This building over here is actually what I believe would have been a place for the cows. This would have probably been the place where they tied the cows up so that they could milk them. And we can see evidence of that in these sort of food troughs over here. And this will be where they clamp them on and put some food down, and then they would probably sit and milk their cows. You can see they probably had quite a few cows because there's a lot of space for them to do that. And then there's another little room which is just down to this side over here. That's a bit smaller. That also has some little feeding troughs. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe for baby calves or something like that. And then the building extends that way. So lots of history in an old place like this. Imagine what this place must have been like back in the days when they were running it as a farm and growing all of the produce here and selling the milk and selling the eggs and selling the meat from that little shop downstairs. It must have been quite amazing. This is the rest of that building over here. We can see some of the food troughs with the metal grates. It looks like these metal grates could slide over like that. So you'd slide them this way, put the food in, then slide them back. And then some kind of animal in here would be eating that. And then finally on this side we've got a bread oven just over there. I'm going to try and see if I can get a better view of that bread oven. Let's see if I can go around this side. Now you'll always find a bread oven in one of these old rural properties, and this one's made out of granite stone. It's quite different from the Italian sort of pizza oven, because the Italian pizza ovens will have a chimney and then you can close the door in the front, whereas the Portuguese version, you close the door in the front but the smoke comes up the top, as you can see here. And an old bread oven like this would have, well, been made for bread, but you can also bake things in it, bake cakes and stuff. Our next door neighbors, Joaquin and his wife Fernanda, she bakes the most amazing cakes and the most incredible breads, all the old traditional way still. She does a whole big batch of baking a couple of times a week, and it's fantastic. And so this kind of takes us back to where we started. So this is the part of the building where we walked up and through, where the conservatory is in the background here, where this little passageway goes down into the courtyard at the bottom. You know, it's a very interesting building. It's a huge building, and I think for the right person, a project like this could be absolutely incredible. The local village here of Soalheira it's a lively village. There's a lot of life here. It's not one of these old mountain villages where everyone's leaving and it's dying out. It's got a vibe and it's got a lot of stuff going on with it. So before we wrap this up, I just wanted to show you the other entrance to the building. This is where the shop front is, on the front of the house. And if we look down this little street here, we've got another entrance. And as I said earlier, this is the entrance where people could take cars up here. They could go through those gates and park on that big open field section. So if you are interested in buying this property or you want more information, please have a look in the video description below. I'm going to put the seller's contact details. You can be able to get a hold of them directly on email or phone. And who knows, this could be your next project.